Hello everyone. It's James again. And I first want to say sorry for not putting up a video in the last few days. I've been busy with some other things on my end. But here I am. Here again with another video today. Also I want to say before I begin the topic. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Because the more this channel and other channels like this grow, the more those that need this information will have a chance to see it and hear it. Which also brings me to please like and share this video. Because by doing so, this also helps the chance the video might be pushed to the front of YouTube. So again, those that need to see and hear this information will have a chance to do so. Also, please don't forget to click the little bell to be notified each and every time I make a new video. And if you want to support this channel further, you can do so by the way of Patreon. There's a link in the description box below. And for those that are already supporting by the way of Patreon, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my cartoon heart. Now, on with the topic today. Why are you ladies meeting so many narcissist men? Now, as I've mentioned before, my audience is almost half men and half women. And those that are abused by narcissist are both men and women. And those that are narcissist are equally both men and women. And on the topic today, I want to talk about why women specifically that have been narcissistically abused. If we live in a world where women's groups push basically narcissistic behavior as good things sadly in Western society, why are there still a lot of women that find themselves victims to narcissist men? Well, the first thing we need to do is understand something very important. Even many years ago, I think that narcissism was greatly underreported. And the percent that the experts said was a part of our society, I think was wrong. I do think it was higher, despite the numbers they provided. However, I do think it was lower than it is now. Because you have to understand, the powers that be and the social engineers are pushing this mess on us for a reason. You see, the social engineers know that if they push something negative on society at large, it will only take a generation or two before it becomes normalized within society. The old die off, and the new are born into a world where this negative norm is all they know. And because of this, you are seeing not only an increase in narcissism amongst both men and women, you are seeing an increase in narcissistic-like behavior amongst men and women. You see, there's a difference between becoming a full-on narcissist with no empathy, and they have completely gone over to the dark side, and those that teeter on the edge of going over to the dark side. And that number of those that teeter on the edge of those that have 1 foot over in the dark side is a great number in my opinion. And it's simply because of the social engineers promoting negative norms in our society. Now, what does this have to do with why are so many women finding themselves targets of male narcissists? When, as I mentioned, female narcissism is not only encouraged and celebrated, it's rewarded. Well, what I want you to do for a moment is look at some videos of not just men but of women giving advice to men on how to become more attractive to women, and how to get women interested in them. And they pretty much almost all say the same thing. And that's you have to be an unreliable, unavailable, mean, cheating jerk. And then a woman will respect you and want to spend time with you. And what has happened over several generations? Because of these women's groups that have pushed the destruction of the family unit, and the destruction of the man. And if you don't believe this fact, look at the words they speak. Such as the family unit has no place for the man, and the future is female. And the list goes on and on. But these women groups basically pushed narcissism as an acceptable behavior amongst women in society. And no, not every woman jumped on board, but many did. Which made it difficult for the responsible man, even a responsible handsome man, to be able to have a normal relationship. Then the free love movement and the pill, along with movies and music, promoted the idea of women having several partners. And when women started to go down this dark road, more and more women lost their ability to pair bond with men, which led to a rise in women cheating and jumping from relationship to relationship. No longer was this man, the reliable man, able to hang on to a woman by being decent, caring, yet strong, and honest. In order to keep a woman interested, he needed to learn how to keep up with the dopamine release in her mind. Now I want to stop for just a moment. As we've talked about on this channel, no matter if you are a man or a woman that has been abused by a narcissist, we now know the reason why, or one of the reasons why we stuck around the long period of time we stuck around for. And that's because of the chemical high. The chemical high in our brain the narcissist gave us. And when they took it away, we kept chasing that high hoping it would come back. Well, these female groups, pushing and luring the women in our society down this dark road, got women involved in and addicted to chaos, cheating, jumping from partner to partner, and no longer seeing the man that she is with as special because she has already had several men. And because of most of the women in our society are sadly addicted, chemically addicted in their brains to chaos. You will hear the advice that even women give to men about how to become more attractive to women is to basically treat women like dirt. Not my words. Theirs. And I implore you to look and listen to videos out there of women giving advice to men on how to be successful with a woman. And basically they are giving men a tutorial on how to be an uncaring narcissist. And they are giving this advice for men to follow. Because sadly the advice actually works. And it works because women over several generations have been manipulated and tooled just like men have been to believe a complete and utter lie. A lie about life. A lie about relationships. A lie about everything. And then on top of that, they have been given every temptation you can think of. And with each temptation that is taken part in, the lack of connection to having empathy and to relationships start to take hold. Because here's the thing. If you have a man that is trying to play it straight in life, and he keeps on getting nowhere, and he is hearing from not just men, but from women, on how to be a jerk, and how to not care, and how to cut off your emotions and so forth and so on. And then he uses these methods and they work. Guess what will happen? He will keep on using these methods again and again and again. And the more he cheats on women, and manipulates women, the less connection to empathy he has. Now just like the women out there, I think there are men that are teetering on this edge of life. Deep down they might not be a complete full-on narcissist. They might still have the ability to self-reflect provided the situation was right. But they have a strong and toxic surface level of narcissism and manipulation. And then they meet you. You, the codependent nice woman that grew up in a home with narcissistic abuse. Which we know being codependent, no matter you be a man or woman, brings a bunch of issues. But you get drawn in by the charm and love bombing narcissists, or those with strong narcissistic traits do. And you get chemically addicted in your mind. And you are stuck. And when that relationship ends, and you meet another narcissist and another. Now though, working on yourself no matter who you are is a must. Developing boundaries. And learning about the mental addiction and the chemicals your brain releases during the love bombing is also important. However, here's the thing. The rate of narcissism is growing and growing and growing. Because women are being taught from the moment they are born, for the most part, to adopt narcissistic traits. And they are being told pretty much that narcissistically abusing others is their birthright. And men are being pushed into narcissism. Because they see it works. They see the results. Wow. Stop caring and get a woman interested in you. Treat a woman like crap and have women wanting to cater to your every whim. They see it works. And guess what happens then? It spreads like wildfire. It spreads like wildfire. I've talked in person to women that seem to have had trouble attracting the wrong men. And in most of them, when I asked them, what would you do if you met a man where there was no chaos, drama? You knew he wasn't cheating on you. And he treated you good. What would you do? And they all for the most part said they would probably leave him. And when I asked why, they tried to pretend like they didn't know why. But when I pressed, they for the most part would say, because they would be bored. You see, there have been several polls over the last years, where at least 7 out of 10 women preferred the unpredictable bad boy over the decent hard-working man. And believe you me, this even applies when you are good looking. I've seen where good looking men that had great personalities that were left by their girlfriend or wife, and that girlfriend or wife took up with another man. A man with legal problems. A man with drug problems. A man without a job. A man that was constantly cheating. And when this man that was left asks questions about why he was left to both men and women, he gets told it was his fault. That it was his fault for being too boring. For being too predictable. For being too caring. And for being too decent. And everywhere he turns for answers, the answers are all the same. Stop caring. Cheat, 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 cheat. And use every woman he can use. And then he meets you. And then he meets you. And the more he cheats, the easier it is for him. Just like it is for a woman that cheats. And the less of a connection to feeling sorry they have. You see, gang members will often sadly put a gun in a young wannabe gang member's hand to have them shoot a rival gang member. Or worse, they will have them shoot an innocent person that has no gang ties whatsoever. And they will have them do this as a way to join this gang. And the reason why they are having them do this is they want them to lose empathy. You see, when these gang members are interviewed, and they tell their stories about when they first shot someone, they talk about how they were nervous and how they were shaking. And how many got sick and threw up afterwards. But they said the more they did it, the easier it got. No longer were they shaking and nervous. But they could go and shoot someone. And now enjoy a nice meal afterwards. Well, society puts these things upon both men and women to loosen our connection to our consciousness. And to our empathy for others. And knowing the difference between right and wrong. And it's all done by the social engineers to destroy the family unit. Because not every person that you meet that is narcissistically abusive is a narcissist. They might be. But they also might be someone that is a victim of the social engineering that has one foot in the world of narcissism. Now they are still dangerous just the same. And it's not up to you to find out if they are a real narcissist or not. But I just want you to be aware. Many of those that behave this way might have started out nice and good. Just like I've mentioned before. You might have a good woman that is married or has a serious boyfriend. And her so-called girlfriends or workmates convince her to go out for drinks. And then these women talk about how they are cheating on their boyfriends and husbands. And at the bar they are meeting and talking with new men behind their boyfriends and husbands' back. Well, even though this woman knows what's happening is wrong, if she lets the peer pressure get to her and she keeps on hanging out in this evil environment, eventually she will slip and cheat and start this horrible behavior of narcissism. Now the first time, she might get sick right after. She might cry. So forth and so on. But after a few more times, the empathy fades away. And the character of narcissism comes to the forefront of her behavior. Well, men are in the same boat. Because they are dealing with such women. They are told their once loving and faithful wife left them the husband because they were too kind and too decent. And they weren't unpredictable enough. And it was their fault. So the more they listen to this mess, and the more they implement these teachings into their life, though at the beginning they might get sick or feel bad, eventually the lack of empathy fades away. And the character of narcissism creeps to the forefront. And then you meet them. And then you meet them. Please do yourself a favor and listen to even the women talking about why a wife left a man because he was too boring. And basically telling men that you have to be a narcissist in order to keep a woman's interest. That is the core of the teaching to men by women and men alike. For men to be successful with women. And they are told this because it works sadly. But all of this was and has been done to us by the social engineers. And you will see this when you look at the world with red pill awareness. So now you know why you keep on meeting narcissist men after narcissist men. Even after you developed boundaries. And are doing the self-work. So what's the answer? The answer is keep doing the self-work. Because that is important for you. But no. Though narcissism has pretty much become the norm and accepted on how to get ahead in this world, there are still good people out there. And by having boundaries and doing the self-work, it makes it much easier to not get addicted to the chaos and sift out those that have this problem. But it also allows more people to talk about this so those that haven't gotten swept away by narcissism can prevent themselves from doing so. There was a guy out there. I forget his name. I think he's from Louisiana. I mentioned him before. And a few people said they thought I was talking about this or that guy. And none of the suggestions were the guy I was talking about. Thanks for trying to find the answer though. I think he has tattoos on his forearms. Well. Anyways. He once said. He realized in order to be successful with women, he had to become someone he wasn't comfortable with becoming. Now this is a pretty good looking young guy. And I think he got left and mistreated by a woman that was narcissistically abusing him. And he wanted to get back out there and start dating again. And he tried to implement the techniques that work. Which is becoming a narcissist himself. And he said he just couldn't do it. If playing the game meant him becoming a horrible human being, he didn't want to play the game anymore. And sadly, because the social engineers know men biologically are designed to seek out a mate. And the desire is very, very strong. If the conditions are now as such. If the only way you can find a woman and have them treat you well is to become a narcissist basically. There are many that will sadly go down this road. And you nice ladies on my channel are meeting these men. But you have to trace it all back to those that want to destroy the family unit. Because this part right here is just a compartmentalized piece of the puzzle to make this ugly plan a reality. But there are still some good people out there. But because this world is what it is, it's best to guard your heart and err on the side of caution. If someone isn't treating you right, no matter what they did for you when you first met them, cut them loose and move forward. And preach the truth. So those that haven't been caught up by narcissism, both men and women, can see the truth and not get caught up by this complete and utter evil behavior and way of being. The social engineers are just that good. They know what they are doing and playing the world like a violin. But that's all I have for now. I'm interested to read your comments. With that said, let's continue to pray for wisdom. Let's continue to pray for strength. And let's continue to pray for courage. And until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.